Hey. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hey. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Saturday Day Live, which I suppose is turning out to be rather a bit like a podcast. Just these weekly come-ons and talk about things. It's what I like to do. Big shout out and ups to Nazir Ra, Hidden Power Wellness. The song is Supreme Confidence and Impeccability, which, I'm always working on them things. Supreme confidence and impeccability. Oh, what a week it has been, y'all. What a week it has been. And that's a subliminal. You can purchase that and download it from Hidden Power Wellness. I will be linking that on the YouTube page when this goes up. So, welcome. Hello, how do you do? Satimo Ra. And if you were with me last week, I was talking. Ooh, uh-oh, it's still playing. Okay, maybe a little more supreme confidence and impeccability. But yes, happy new season. What? Oh my, what a week can do. Welcome, High Priestess. And, sorry. That's the only thing about doing the lives is I get so excited and caught up on like when people join and then I'm like, what just happened? I lost where I was going with it. But that's all right. What I was talking about was, I don't know what I was talking about, but where I was finna head and where I'm going to now is talking about, what a difference some time can make. Giving ourselves some space, giving ourselves some room. Last week, as I reported, I was a bit in Funky Town. Things were I was experiencing, I didn't want to call them birthing pains because I didn't want to give them that, blah, blah of pain. Hey, Ade. Welcome. But yeah, last week I didn't want to talk about it as far as being a matter of it was birthing pains, although that was the information I feel that kind of came to me after last week. It was like, you're just experiencing some birthing pains or something. So, and then I say so much has opened up this week. So really, really what I want to say is it was more a matter of, I feel like it was just a matter of the message from bringing in the new season was really a matter of sometimes we have to change position, right? It's going to be uncomfortable, but the female body is designed to give birth. So, for some it might be painful, for others it might not. But what if it's just a matter of changing position? What if perhaps, trying from your back, maybe you squat, maybe you get into water, maybe you get on all fours. Maybe it's just a matter of changing position. And I feel like that's what happened. Like that shook up last week's, Funky Town, shook up some things that required me to like refocus and change position. And I tell you, this week has really, really, really been awesome. A lot of amazing opportunities, which I'm sure were always there, but now I could see. Like that veil was lifted of the series of veils, these gauze veils. Oh, so thin they are. But that's all right. We are slashing them away one by one. And that's exciting. I feel like I just needed to refocus and change position on what I'm doing. So I have some very exciting things coming up with Kukua Atlanta. I'm still going to be offering my classes, a handful, because that's fun. I love to do that. However, I'm also, I got a new attitude of how I'm going to go forth with this. Because sort of looking at the life evidence of things. I don't know how much women who claim that they want to change, men or women, really want to change. I hear a lot of people talking about that they want to get into shape and they want their bodies to be more fit, but I also don't see them really willing to take the action to do that. Of course, all of this is a reflection of myself, so don't get twisted. I'm up on that block too, from time to time and on certain things. But in terms of Kukua African dance fitness, I am not. That I am, I'm about it. And so what I don't understand is, like, we're in the second round of the 21-day turnaround challenge. And we're doing great. Oh my gosh, shout out to Ahura. She is getting it, and I couldn't be more excited and happy for her and inspired by her, really. And so there's people who started a little bit earlier. There's some folks starting a little bit behind. I did miss yesterday, so I did the makeup this morning, and I'll be doing today's later on this afternoon. Blah, blah, blah. But I'm just sort of like, okay, here you have an opportunity to have 42 videos. Even if you don't do both videos every day, you can stretch that out if you don't feel like you have the endurance or the strength, where you do one video every day and just commit to sticking to something for 21 days and notice the improvements, notice the life evidence. And everyone's so quick to be like, oh yeah, you look great, I love your energy, but they're not signing up. And that's fine. But instead of putting my focus on like that, I'm like, okay, look, the results are already on my page. If you want to see, like, this stuff works. I don't need to sell Kukua Fitness. Like, they do that all by themselves. Like, you're obviously seeing the joy and feeling the vibes. And if you want the extra Benny of having me on your team and, holding you accountable and checking in with you with all these vibes on a daily basis, right, then that's what you'll do. And if not, no worries. I'll be giving my energy to them, who are participating in the challenge, doing more of it there versus like posting every day like I did the first round. The first round was to be like, boom, it works. Now it's like, you can join if you want, but like, I got other things to do. So one of my big idea, I've been soundboarding it with a few people, and I'm very, very, very excited about it, is I'd like to take Kukua Atlanta to the children, to like the young women in the after school programs, or like offering some college classes, and maybe getting these girls to women before they get into that space of like, yeah, we're just ready to talk about it. And I mean, it's there for men and boys and such too, but I deal with women empowerment, so it makes sense for me to focus on that. And there's so much about this African dance that brings us back into our bodies. There's a way for me to bring this, to incorporate like the somatic healing, the kinesthetics about it all, of just being in our bodies and connecting back to that source of, because once you start doing that, you remember that wisdom that's already in your body that you forgot. Like you wouldn't be able to forget it again even if you tried, because you've woken it back up, right? Like, it's those muscles, you work it out, like even your sixth sense, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Down to like epigenetics and going back to like ancestral healing and moving that energy through our bodies. It's like when you see those memes of like, how amazing would it be if we taught meditation to children to help them calm their nerves? Okay, how awesome would it be if we had children connecting with African dance and beats and moving their body and recognizing that it's amazing to be in your joy and to dance and allow your body to move and to breathe. And part of that, I think, also allows us to release the fears of like what it looks like to others. That's certainly been what I've been gaining from it, and I can't help but communicate the things that I experienced. Like, that's what this life is about. We're all experiencing and learning, and we're learning from one another, but we need more examples of being in your joy and releasing all of the illusions and disillusionment of the matrix. Yeah. So I'm very excited about taking Kukua Atlanta in that direction. I had an amazing meeting with an investor who's really inspired by the idea. I know there's a lot of funding opportunities out there right now, especially to connect more with the BIPOC youth. This would be a great way to just add value to my community and to women at large. So I'm very, 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 very excited about it. So thanks for sharing in my joy and my big announcement as all of that begins to come together. And, like I said, like, Me last week was like, I just don't I just don't get it. I just don't understand where things aren't just clicking. And, it's back to that whole tripping about manifestation. And you don't really, who's to say you aren't manifesting when it doesn't look like you are? Like, those things are putting the pieces into place for those manifestations to come about. Patience, projector, is what I always get. Ooh, I don't know if I've mentioned it here before, but I tell you, if there is like an Oracle Dex, if there's a card for patience, I will pull it almost every single time. It's like, universe, you got a message for me. Yeah, child, be patient. Good Lord. Oh, thank you, Cornell. Thank you. Thank you for the new follow. And so there is that. Another one of my big exciting news little bits is that I am going to be a published author. I was invited to contribute to a big collaborative effort, a book by the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. So they have brought together some very amazing women. I'm kind of honored I'm totally honored, but also like, yeah, to be invited to participate in this group. And the book will be about the 8 dimensions of wellness. And so my chapter is on physical wellness. Thank you, Ariel. My chapter is on physical wellness, but being that it's a Women Connected in Wisdom book, it's not so much that I focus on the African dance, though that comes up. I'm more speaking about womb wisdom and connecting to our intuition and recognizing the divine intelligence within us as women, and holding that up to the standard of, what if everything we've been taught has been wrong about intelligence? Like, everything that we hold up on the pedestal of what we deem intelligent, right? Like that university degree, right? University system that certainly ridicules female intuition, right? Like, female intuition is not something that I can rationalize or explain with logic. And that intelligence system is, like, that's the only way to validate it or verify it. It's like, well, let me fact check you. Oh my gosh, the fact checkers. Like, I have a shirt by Awaken with JP. It's like, fact. I don't trust fact checkers. But, not to get into trust and beliefs, and I agree, none of that, but it's a funny shirt to me. So I've submitted my rough draft on that, which that's a huge deal. Because there was a bit of a time crunch, like everything needed to be in like yesterday, because I kind of sat on the invitation for a little while. I'm just fortunate that the goddess still had the opening and everything's worked out. Although, again, I say, was everything working out all in divine time, and all I needed to do was rest and relax and be moved by my body. When my body was ready to write that chapter, we got it out. When my body was ready to call on it was like, yeah, I was in a rush. I mean, I had the time crunch, but could that also be that the goddess knows if I don't have that, then I might not ever do it? Sometimes I have to have those bookends, whether they're established by me or not. I'm training to be better about this, right? Like, that's what I'm working on. But for the time being, that's still where I is. So that's fine. That also sort of reminds me, so last weekend I was having a glitch in the matrix, and my Black Women Empowerment Gathering, we had technical difficulties, all the time zone changes and things like that, so that has been postponed to April 10th. And the topic is still resting to receive. And, my friend Adeyana Fuwoshe, Life Coach Ade, who, as a matter of fact, just this morning presented me with another opportunity to work with him. And he really is a very inspiring gent. And, he said it after our last parting of ways, that our work was not done, and it's true. Like, we both had some things to experience and to grow, and so there's a new opportunity to do some work with him. That's very exciting. We're ironing out the details on that, but he uses the acronym. He uses REST as an acronym for resting or releasing every stressful thought. REST, releasing every stressful thought. And that's really the emphasis of my Black Women's Empowerment Gathering, Rest to Receive. It's going to be this matter of like, what if we release all of these thoughts that are keeping us from this knowing? What if we release all of this questioning and doubt and what ifs and the shouldas and the wouldas and the couldas, and just go solely, so deeply into our knowing and into our intuition, really believing that that is everything? And is that when we then begin to receive? Could that not connect with patience? You know, I say yes. That's what this is for. Getting on my soapbox. Sorry, my mind was just like, oh, there you go on your soapbox. That's why I was like, hey, that's what this is for. That's what this is for. This makes me feel better, right? Like, I like expressing. I like sharing the things that I come across and the ideas that I have. I love hearing the things y'all have to say in regards to it. And I guess, yeah, it's a bit, you could call it like a podcast. But right now, this is very, very, very useful to me. And so I'm going to keep going with it. Like, I want to keep pushing past the fears and just keep doing the do. Because that's what it's about, getting into that harmony and that frequency. I think so many times we get caught up in the fears of what all is possible or what's not possible, and it's like you're not gonna know unless you freaking do it. Like, you're not gonna know. And the more I push forth, the more I encourage and I imagine that this is the same for y'all. When you push forth through those doubts and those fears, things begin to open up, right? It's that, when they say, like, it's something, I don't know, but it's something like it once it becomes too painful to remain in the bud, then, you know, the plant or the flower or whatever begins to push forth through the seed and break through and blah, blah, blah. And once it breaks on through to the other side, it just begins to flourish. There's nothing else that's, you know, really necessary on its part. Like, it can't help but to move towards the sun and flourish, becoming that 1,000-petaled lotus that becomes that Taurus field. Like, once you pop, you can't stop. It's just going to continue to flow and to flow and to flow. And the only thing holding us from that is ourselves, is our fears, is our doubts. Like, what does that even matter? I was, and so when I say that, as I do that, things begin to present themselves to me. The right people come along. The right information shows up. Just things come into alignment and harmony, and it just works out, you know, beautifully, like on its own. So the other day, I happened to catch the tail end of Ancestral Voices. If you are not familiar with that channel or that page or those two beautiful, beautiful souls, Verona and Dalian, I highly recommend Ancestral Voices. I will post them below, or I'll link them on my YouTube page, right? And so I happened to catch this broadcast. It was a live stream. It was Goddess Verona was interviewing or having a conversation with Goddess Abiola Abrams. And what a powerful conversation that was. I felt so blessed. I feel so blessed to have had that opportunity to experience it. And I caught the tail end, but then I immediately watched it like twice again. And just all the things that they were speaking to and releasing our fears. And, you know, why don't we become arrogant? Aviola is a new mother of a 3-month-old, I believe, named Amethyst something. And she was like, my daughter is about to be the most arrogant Black queen goddess. She is going to know who she is. And that's because that is what we need to do to combat all of the bull that is constantly fed to us from every which way and angle. In order to just stay in a sense of, look, I hear all of this, but I know my truth. Not even like my truth. I know what I feel, you know? Not even a matter of is it like a truth, but like, I know what's correct for me. And the only way to tap into that is to stop and listen. And then to follow through, right? Like, I also got that message big from the goddess. Like, okay, we talking about all this listening and hearing me, but like, I done told you to do some things, and you over there playing Binding of Isaac. Like, I know, yeah, but like, I'm also listening to all these other powerful speakers you're bringing my way. She's like, yeah. So action, Jackson. But what I was going to say, so when I brought that, yeah, it was a really good chat. I highly recommend it. But they were also saying something along the lines, full circle, where it's like, so she had presented to an author, an artist, some of her ideas for some oracle cards. Like, she's the first woman, Hay House has, the first black woman who has done a deck of oracle cards with Hay House, which, if you're familiar with Hay House and, all those angel cards and oracle cards, they're kind of the leader in that. So she's the first black woman to have been the author of a deck. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. But when she was working with the artist is like, some of the ideas, it was like, oh, I've never done that before. And she was like, yeah, and you'll do it once you do it. Like, any of that stuff that we've never done before, it's like, yeah, so do it. And then you won't be saying that you've never done that before. I thought that was pretty amusing and useful. So, what's this, Oriole? How do we know we're loving ourselves and not just pretending we're better than we really are? I certainly don't know either. I would say it would be a matter of going with your conscience, though. That's something my benefactor talks a lot about, living in line with one's conscience. And there's a sweet spot between, like, I'm loving on myself and I'm feeling blessed, and then also, and remaining humble about it. Like, also, like, yeah, I'm the shit, but I also know that I'm not shit. Like, we're all awesome, and there's so much. So I think once you start getting into that, like, entitlement for things, and you lose your gratitude, and you put a lot of falsities, right? Like, and I think it's a fine line. I think this is part of exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you're not going to know until you go on that journey. Like, and you're going to veer. Well, I've veered way off to the one side, and I've gone back and veered way off to the other side. And at some point, it's going to find that sweet spot. All the while I'm clocking it, right? Like, it's never going to remain stagnant. I think that's the thing, too. Like, I've also gotten caught up a lot in is holding myself back on things because I'm worried that I'm doing the most or whatever, like that. Aw, thank you. And then it's also like for example, even with these talkings, and I could totally get into, like, my head about, am I just indulging? Like, who am I? Like, I'm trying to give out, like, I'm giving out a word, I'm doing the most. I won't know until I do it and then watch the videos and clock myself, like, oh yeah, I was getting off a little bit there. And then ideally, the more I continue to do it, the more I'll be able to clock it in the moment. Like, woo, chow, you finna do the most. Oh, you believe in your own nonsense again? Or I can come back and remain too small and then don't say anything. And then what you'll really feel is, or what I'll feel is that guilt, or like, dang it, regret. Regret's a big one. Like, I should have said that. Well, no, that moment passed. Another great example for me, anyways, is like, so I'm in a cohort of sorts of apprentices, and we have, we write essays weekly, and we leave reflections, and, we're responding to one another and leaving all this high quality energy. And I have a tendency to just go in, like, with these long paragraphs and responses because I'm so moved by their thoughts and their awarenesses and things like that. And, I've really gone back and forth a lot with myself. I'm like, am I doing the most? Is this just all my opinion? I know no one cares. So why do I feel the need to express this? Like, is this my self-importance? And it's like, yeah, maybe it is. But it feels better to get it out than to not. So part of a strategy I've been working with this week is, like, I've only been limiting the time that I go in there. And what I've clocked, so for a few hours, well, like for an hour, once it was 2, but for an hour I'll just go in and read and respond and just let out what comes through. And then I don't go back into the group for the rest of the day until the next day that I've said. And the things that came up for me initially, oh my gosh, I was just like, thinking, indulging, like, you shouldn't have said that. Oh, what if that's misinterpreted? Oh, you didn't need to. But since I was sticking to my strategy of not going back in, it was allowing me space to clock and the silence. Like I had enough space to recognize that was my mind. And while it was wanting, it was banging on that door. I was all just kind of like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to know until I go in there tomorrow. So we can either keep tripping over this, or we can get back to doing all these other cool, awesome things that we have going on. And yeah, the choice is yours. Actually, you do what you're going to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And that was a really interesting dance for me. But also, I feel like I'll also say that I clocked that I felt better just expressing. Like I felt good. Like it gave me high quality energy. I know what I was putting out was high quality energy. I like sharing my thoughts. And I also recognize that my thoughts mean nothing. So I don't expect any responses. Yeah. And that was really powerful for me. That's been working for me. I don't want to say I've overcame it, but I am an overcomer. And so we'll see. We'll see how it keeps on going. But that's sort of, yeah, all that to say, that's what I think about that. Now, see, I could have done stopped right when you're like, beautiful response, thank you. It's like, okay, the response is done. We wanted to keep going. We wanted to share that story about the essays. Okay, so the essays have been shared. Story, check, keep on going, bloop, bloop. And yeah, that's fun. I appreciate that. Boom. Boom goes the dynamite. So, yeah, I guess, well, actually, that's kind of a beautiful segue into something else that I wanted to share. In terms of this journey this week in particular, of me really feeling like I'm finding my voice and tapping into some supreme confidence and impeccability with trusting self and going with my conscience, you know? I was listening to this broadcast, Nazir Ra, Hidden Power University. And he was talking about the straight and narrow path, right? And being really just on your path and being focused and things like that. And, you know, he was saying, I'm sure, or he referenced the Bible too. I don't really know where in the Bible, but, you know, basically like it's not that easy to walk the straight and narrow path. And I think straight and narrow, not in the terms of, what's that word, right? Like doing good deeds, just like more for wanting something good to happen to me, or oh darn, what is the word I'm looking for? Anyways, not so much about being straight and arrow on that. But I would say being straight and narrow with your conscience. Like it's really easy to talk about that, but to live that way and purely focused on that, whether you think something is good or bad is what makes it good or bad. And that's what's going to then affect your vibration, which is then going to affect your manifestation, which then is just like your whole, you know, it's a whole frequency thing, whole vibes thing. And that's not easy. I'll tell you, on any given day, I'm going against my own conscience all the time. Like in terms of like, I should be eating, well, not even so much I should. That alone is the clear indicator of the conscience not being in alignment, but of how I eat or how I live or things I'm doing, right? Like they're like playing Binding of Isaac and listening to a talk versus writing a paper or doing something like that. Now, if I belittle myself, then that's against my conscience, and then that's going to be the negative vibration that I'm emitting. And that's going to keep my blessings away from me because I'm not in a state of allowing. And that's only because of me. That's only because of my thoughts. Now, if I indulge and I think nothing's wrong with that, then there's probably nothing wrong with that, which is why you might see people you might think are doing bad things, living it up. And I'm not even going to go into like what it's like, how they live. I don't have to care about whatever they're doing or experiencing. What they're showing me is the life evidence that when I'm operating in alignment with my conscience, no matter what that looks like or thinks like, or, you know, anyone else thinks about it, like I will benefit because that's my conscience. That's what I feel is right and worthy of me. Now, I think a lot of us on, you know, a spiritual kind of path, we understand that there are things that are like royally good and bad, right? In terms of the cosmos. But I also think we hold ourselves to like such a hard standard on like basic stuff, you know, like worrying about, well, now am I just, you know, pretending to be better than I really am? Okay, maybe I am. Maybe that's what it's going to take for a little while to overcome like 4 decades of having, you know, water poison, food poison, air poison, right? I was listening to this cat, Jamad Rashal, I believe his name is. I will link him below. And yo, he's a young little whippersnapper, that's for sure. I mean, he's a man. And so I don't mean to be like dismissive, like, oh, he a young little boy. No. He's a man. He's a little more thuggerific, I guess, than I'm about, right? Like, he's definitely like more hardcore kind of guy and how he disseminates his information. But he speaks on like a very high vibrational level. Again, I roll with like Nazir Ra and Empire University. I like how they bring all this cosmic stuff together. But that is not to say that I don't get my information from all different sources. Again, back to frequency. It's not a matter of who's saying it. Like, even here, like all this stuff that I'm talking about, that's not why y'all are here. That's not why y'all really listen to this. It's not about my words. That's the bull crap. None of this actually means anything. But we're connecting in terms of frequency. We're connecting in terms of vibration and finding your people. And there might be one word that is said that is exactly what you needed to hear, that's going to propel you and get you to your next thing or your next thing, or one comment or something like that. That's how this works, right? Like, I'll listen to videos, I'm like, are these people watching my videos low-key? Like, I swear they're using the same words and da-da-da-da-da. And so it's easy, I guess, in that regard to be like, oh, that would be me thinking I'm better than I am, right? It's like, oh, all of these people are being influenced by me and my words. And that's tempting. I've certainly been on that path too. But it's really more a matter of like, no, there's collective energies. There's collective frequencies. Like attracts like. And this is about finding your people and finding those who are giving you high quality energy that you can take usefulness from, that can motivate and spur your heart engine to get you on your path of heart, to do whatever that means and to dive into that like as fully and wholly as you can, holy beings. And so yay, my tangents. So this guy, Jamal Rashad, oh, I think I said Rashal Jamad. Jamal Rashad, I think. Like I said, I'll put it down there below. I caught a video of the other day, like a past video where he was breaking down the Matrix Resurrections. And y'all know me. I love me the Matrix films. And I liked how he broke this down. I really did. You know, like he uses more strong language and he's a little more hard with his energy. Like there's definitely that, he brings that fire, yeah? But yeah, it was good information. I liked it. I was kind of like, oh, okay, I see what you're talking about here. I got it. And then he had a great like video about trolls and what that really is. And, you know, like when we think we have people who are all up in our feeds hating on us and we think that they're just people, it's like, no, there's CIA operatives, there's FBI, there's people like paid to get in there and just cast doubt, right? Like, so he referenced like a video of like an African shaman where there's drumming and things going on, and then the shaman begins to levitate. And then you'll see folks in the comments like, oh, I see the wires, or that's nonsense. And then it's like, you see that, and then you just automatically dismiss that as even being a possibility. And I was kind of like, yeah, I like what you have to say about the trolls. And it was easy for me to indulge in all of these mental, like, yes, the Matrix, the parasite predator, they're all out there to get me, they're watching. And yeah, that's not very empowering from that point of view. But he did a video the other day, or again, I was catching an older video, and he was talking about like birds aren't real, and talking about some birds are, like only a handful are, but they're lower vibrations, lower frequencies of dinosaurs. And he goes through and names several of these, and I was like, okay. I remember back in 2020, I was taking a walk on the Beltline during all this stuff, and there were all these stickers, birds aren't real, and the QR code to go to this website. And I was like, okay, now I'm up on my conspiracy theories. I haven't heard about birds not being real. So even I still kind of went with like, and after that, it was just something that was always in the back of my head, but I didn't put much stock into it. And And then I was watching his video last night, and, you know, he gave pretty interesting perspective on it. I was like, okay. But then I was like, okay, wait a minute. Because something he had brought up too was metamorphosis, when he was talking about these lower, like a condor, for example, or eagle, being these lower vibrations of the dinosaurs, what was left of the air dinosaurs. And then he started talking about, you know, metamorphosis and, you know, the butterfly to the caterpillar to the butterfly, and just how incredible of a transformation that is. Like, you wouldn't think that hairy little caterpillar would become like a beautiful moon moth or a beautiful butterfly or whatever. And this was really striking to me because I have a thing with butterflies, as do most new agey type of spiritual people, right? And the other day I caught a little hairy, that's why I said hairy, a beautiful black hairy caterpillar, and I sang to it and watched it for a little bit and all that. So all of this was very relevant and fresh in my mind. And then he's talking about, like, no one, you know, ever talks, no one questions that. No one questions, why can that happen? I was like, you know what? Instead of getting caught up on all of these were former dinosaurs, or these are that, or these are that, how is it that I've gotten caught up in the fact that, yes, metamorphosis is amazing, but it's only with butterflies and caterpillars, and only with dragonflies and nymphs, and only with, you know, frogs and tadpoles. And I don't think frogs get as much credit for their metamorphosis, but as far as I could think about, those are the three, you know, that I know, creatures that I know offhand that we give the term metamorphosis to. And we look at it and hold it. It's like, oh, nature is so amazing. That's so beautiful. Look at these examples of what's possible. But we don't really believe that as far as, like, looking at what's possible. What if that is the reality? What if that's the main thing for all of us? Like, that's the normal, natural transgression, or transition. But we look at it, we've been told, we've been given some term, metamorphosis, and we're like, well, that's what those creatures do. Not thinking that, what if they were like the little glitches in the Matrix, and they weren't, like, they're not supposed to, like, we're not supposed to know that that's what's possible, so we just give that a term, saying, okay, that's what they do. But what if that's what we all do? What if that's what is natural? What if it's not like a unique thing? What if everything else has been designed to keep us away from that natural occurrence? Why else would they have to work so hard? And I say they, but it doesn't, the point I'm really trying to communicate, it's not so much a matter of staying focused on and the disempowering thoughts of what all is being done to hold us back. It's on the very empowering possibility of, like, what all is really here for us. What all are we actually made of and can do if we just get out of our own way? If we start questioning and really discerning all the things that we just kind of take for granted, or even if we're like, oh, well, that's an anomaly, we say, oh, that's an anomaly, rather than, what if that's the actual? What if that's just what's been there and present for us all along? I find that very empowering, and when I think of things like that, it makes me want to just get out of my own way. Fine, I'll dance on the gram. Fine, okay, let me see if young children are interested in Kukua African dance. Let me see what happens if I write this chapter. Let me see what opportunities present themselves when I get involved with the opportunities that life continues to present. Or do I want to keep saying, oh, no, not yet. I'd rather sit over here and just keep talking and wishing and hoping that some kind of change is going to happen. But I'm not going to take any action on that change to even see what's possible. Hiding behind, well, I've never done that before. Okay, well, then do it. See if it's something that see what happens. Dance, play. That's why I think, you know, they say so much, like in the Bible and all these people, like, you know, to get to heaven, you really have to come through with the eyes of a child and that playful spirit and not take yourself so seriously. It's not that crazy, right? Tomorrow, I might have a whole new set of views that totally go against or contradict everything I'm saying right now. Okay, I'll be a different person in that moment. In this moment, this is where I'm at right now, and this is what's coming through. And I just want to get out of the way. It's really not that serious. It's really not that serious. Yeah. So just a matter of, oh yeah, so one of my colleagues actually, he was sharing a story, and it was really beautiful, but he was being asked, like, what was his end goal on hitting a certain, like, did he have a target number for something, and was there a reason for that? And he was just kind of going into, like, he went into a beautiful, beautiful explanation and vision, and was just like, no, I don't really have that end number, but my intention is not to have an end number, but my intention is to see how big it can go. I was like, that's such a great attitude to have. Like, if your main overall intention is success, and success for what? Success for your evolution, success for your metamorphosis, for success for becoming all that we are actually capable of, all that we actually know is present, and yet keep doubting over the most silliest of reasons, because no one else has done it before, because it doesn't look like what's been done, because I might look like a fool. You know what I'm saying, y'all? That makes no sense. It makes no sense. And I imagine if you're like me, you have more life evidence that supports the incredible benefits and the incredible joy that you feel when you do just step past that. So that's my word for today. Like, it was sort of inspired by last week also, Sitdowns, when he was asking about the 666 bit, and I was kind of like, I was thrown off because I was just kind of like, well, A, I wasn't talking about that. B, like, oh, this is my Cuckoo Atlanta channel. Like, what if I start talking about those sorts of things? Like, look, I'm into that stuff. That's what I like to talk about or think about. But, like, that's what I like to think about when I'm indulging. That's what I like to think about when I'm trying to find reasons to support all the ways I'm being held back and my power is being diminished. Okay, what about focusing on the flip side of that? Like, yo, they got to do all that, whoever they is. All of that is present to keep me away, to keep us away from our fire. The fire that we have that burns so brightly. Like, if we just stop popping the blue pills, right? Like, let's deep dive. Like, I was working the swim meet again this week. Like, dive deep. The universe be giving us signs. Just listen. Have fun. Enjoy and play. Yeah? Have a good time. So, I feel like I've ran out of my steam. That concludes today's sermon of Sati Sits. But I thank y'all so much for joining. Anybody got something that they want to say, share? I feel like I was on a rolly roll tonight. So thank you. Thank you, Goddess. Thank you, Life. Thank you. Thank you. I just feel so blessed. I feel so blessed. And that's a state I just want to continue to cultivate. And I know that only comes from listening and walking in line with my conscience. So I encourage y'all to do the same. And I thank you for coming through. Sending you so much love in this now moment. Be well. Be blessed. Till the next time. Peace, peace, right? Love you, love you. Shout out to 7S. You like that? Peace, love. Love you, love you. Bye.